Gio,
BT and Sal,
Evan and Tiki, Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on the Fan.
On the Fan.
On the Fan.
on the Fan.
It's WFAN Daily, hosted by Pete Hoffman.
Well, that was something. That was something for sure. As the New York Mets, geez, I'm just hearing some weird feedback in my headphones or whatever. It's okay. The New York Yankees lose to the Toronto Blue Jays. I was at the game, and there's a lot to get into. There's a ton to get into right now with the New York Yankees. And where do we begin? Let's first start off with Cam Schlittler, who had another good performance, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And the fact that the New York Yankees had Cam Schlittler go up against a bullpen game, and the Yankees were able to muster up 2 runs off of 6 hits is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. The Toronto Blue Jays bullpen is not that good. It's just not. You could sit there and talk about, you can go through every single name in the book that pitched today. Vorlin, Flaherty, Dominguez, Lauer, Rodriguez, Little, Fisher, Hoffman. If I told you Jeff Hoffman's numbers at the end of the season, his ERA was a 4.37 at the end of the season. Within the last few days, his ERA was up to a 4.76 in September 10th. So he had actually finished better. He finished a lot better. He was no good the entire season. And nothing. The Yankees were able to scrape away absolutely nothing in big spots. Bases loaded. Didn't make a difference. The biggest moments, the Yankees came up small. And there's going to be a lot of conversation about who's to blame for this. It's everybody. There's not one person you can pinpoint this to, because if you want to sit there and say it's Brian Cashman's fault for putting the team together, okay, that's fine. I'll give you that. If you want to say Aaron Boone doesn't know how to, to make substitutions, he doesn't change the lineup properly, didn't understand how to work a bullpen, whatever you want to say, okay, fine. I'll give you that too if that's what you want to do. If you want to tell me, go up and down the batting order, whether it's Jazz Chisholm, whether it's Anthony Volpe, who his last, I believe, 13 at-bats, he struck out 11 times in his last 13 at-bats. I think he's got 0 for much more than that, but his last 13 at-bats, he struck out 11 times. Why is he still out there? We've talked about this many times. Yeah, he hit a home run off of Garrett Crochet. That was 7 games ago. 7 games ago, he hit a home run off of Garrett Crochet. Do we carry that throughout the entire playoffs? Jazz Chisholm, again, like I was saying, defensively, I don't know if he's just not in the moment, if he's just not there, whatever the case is, it is utterly embarrassing to watch him play defense at times. You got, Austin Wells, who continues to just do nothing but pop out. I mean, it was just bad overall. Bad overall. Bullpen, who can you really rely upon? And it's funny because there's going to be a lot of off-season conversation about who's going to return. I believe Jazz has 1 more year of control left to him. Are you signing him to a big-term deal? Are you keeping him around, or are you going to trade him? Or are you going to just let him play 1 more year and move on from like Gleyber Torres? There is a ton of misplays here. And now there's a lot of good too. If you think about what the Yankees do well, they mash. They beat up bad pitching. They didn't do that in Game 4 of the ALDS. And that's the problem. In a big spot, they came up small. And you could talk about, no fight, no dog in them left, whatever the case is. I mean, they showed fight the day before. They showed fight on Tuesday night in Game 3, down 6-1. And people are going to sit there and talk about Aaron Judge again too. The guy batted over about 500 in this playoffs, and yeah, one hits off the wall at the very end. He's got the one home run that'll go down the books with the historic home run, as he hit a 3-run home run to tie the game on Tuesday off the foul pole, fair pole, home run pole, whatever pole you want to call it. But it just a lot of emptiness, a lot of empty hits. Great hitter. Nobody's on base. Nobody's on the spot. And that's where it's kind of like you almost have to change the batting order. You have to change the lineup. If your cleanup hitter or your best hitter is getting base hits and nobody is on base, then maybe that's not the approach to go. If he's not hitting home runs, if he's not getting extra base hits, then maybe you need to figure out a way to change up that lineup. I know you want to give the strategy is give your best hitter as many at bats as possible. So give Aaron Judge, put him in the 2-hole, let him just keep on cooking, let him get as many at bats as possible. But maybe the strategy needs to change. There is a ton of time to figure out the offseason. There is a ton of time to figure it out. And again, at the end of the day, do you think that Aaron Boone's getting fired? I know everyone wants him to. He's not. Do you want to know why? And whether you love it or hate it, you have Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone, who now have gone back-to-back years playoffs, right? In 2024, they went to the World Series. This year, they got knocked out in the ALDS. Yes, that sucks. That's much sooner than they wanted. But they keep on getting back to the playoffs. They keep on building teams that get you to the playoffs. So what else do you really want them to do? Besides winning the playoffs, yes, of course, but they are building a team that could win the regular season and get you to the playoffs. And they expect that same team to go out there in the playoffs and win. And let me be honest with you. They should have. They should have found a way to beat Kevin Gossman. They should have found a way to beat you, Savage. I mean, you talk about a guy who pitched 3 games in the regular season and comes out there and completely shuts the Yankees down. It's embarrassing. But you could scream and cry as much as you want. Oh, they got to get rid of Boone. They got to get rid of Cashman. They're going to be right back. And I got to be honest, that's the right thing. Because you could sit there and say whatever you want about, oh, well, okay, then at least get rid of Boone then, right? Who are they going to bring in? Do you think they're going to bring some hard-nosed manager that you're going to be like, oh, yeah, this guy knows how to tell somebody off. This guy knows how to talk to the media. This guy knows how to, talk to his players and yell at them and get them motivated. You really think so? You think that that's what the Yankees are going to bring in? And if you think that Aaron Boone doesn't do certain things behind the scenes, you're wrong. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. But you may not see it, but Aaron Boone is doing what you want. He's just not talking to you about it. And that might upset you. That might bother you. But he's doing it. That's for sure. And when it comes down to, the Yankees like how he's approaching it. So they're only going to hire somebody else that's going to be like Aaron Boone. So why not keep Aaron Boone? He keeps on being successful. They almost won the freaking division. They almost have the best record in the American League. A lot of things to get to in the offseason. But let's talk about this game. All right. Game 4 of this ALDS. Let's take you through it. It starts with the first inning here. And it's disappointing because I've said it now numerous times, and I'll continue to say it. You don't pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. I don't care. If the only time you pitch to Vlad is if the bases are clear. That's what you do. Otherwise, there's no reason to pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. There's no reason to put yourself in a spot. And they start off, George Springer gets a double to lead off the game. Not really how you want to start the game off. We get it. Okay, fine. Nathan Luce flies out. but they pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr., and he singles to right because he's a great hitter. Between the two, Vlad and Judge, excuse me, those two were on fire. You couldn't get any of those guys out. So why pitch to them? Guess what? We'll look at the Judge stuff. They stopped pitching to him after a while. But Vlad Guerrero Jr., I know it's the first inning. I know you want to attack him. Hits an RBI single, and right from jump, it's like, okay, it's 1-0, no big deal. We came back from a 6-1 deficit yesterday, but again, Cam Schlittler on the mound. It's a bullpen day for the Blue Jays. You think they should be able to fight back? All right, fine. Barger single, so now it's first and third. Kirk pops out, Varsho pops out. Okay, good inning, not terrible. The one thing I'm going to tell you about this Blue Jays team, I know they struck out a lot yesterday, but they don't strike out often. It's not who they really are. They really do make contact, put bat on ball. You compare Schlittler's appearance versus the Red Sox, where he struck out 12. The Red Sox struck out like 400 more times than the Blue Jays this season. That's what the Red Sox do. The Blue Jays don't do that. So expect that to be a theme here. But then bottom of first comes up, Trent Grisham pops up, Judge single. Of course, unbelievable. Now, listen, at that point in time, you pitch to Judge because nobody's on base. If you want to, that is, you can always walk him, but nobody's on base. So even a solo shot, at the very least, ties the game, but that's it. That's as much damage he's going to do. He gets single, Bellinger strikes out, Stanton flies out, 1-2-3. Schlittler, second inning, he's cruising, 1-2-3 inning. You get to the bottom of the second. Jazz Chisholm comes up, strikes out. Paul Goldschmidt hit by a pitch. Okay, so you get a base runner on. And here's the first move. Lewis Varland comes out, and Mason Flaherty comes in to face Austin Wells. So now all of a sudden the matchups are happening. And I'm not trying to say that Schneider was a step ahead of Boone the entire game, but when your focus is a bullpen game, you are legitimately only pulling people when they are completely shell-shocked and are done and have given up too many runs, or when you know the matchup you want is up. And here it is. Austin Wells comes up and Flaherty comes in, strikes out Wells. And then obviously there's still, Goldschmidt's on, but Anthony Volpe comes up, and here he is with one of his many strikeouts in the bottom of the second. And it doesn't make a difference the matchup. It doesn't make a difference that it's lefty versus righty. Anthony Volpe is going to strike out. Again, next inning, top of the third, Schlittler's cruising, 1-2-3 innings, Springer, Lukes, Guerrero Jr. all ground out, making contact, but they're moving on with the game. Okay, fine. Bottom of the third. This is the moment that I actually missed because I went like a good dad who I thought was being a good dad. I got the opportunity to bring my son to a playoff game, my youngest son, who is a big Yankee fan. Evan and Marash went as well. Evan had a couple extras, and he said, hey, would you like to come? He asked me to ask BT and Sal. I did. I didn't just skip them and say, oh, no, they can't go. Did ask BT and Sal. They could not go. He asked me as well. I said, I would go. Would you, what do you do with the other ticket? I could bring my kid. He said, yours, do what you want. So I did. I brought Anthony, and we were there, and he had a good time up until the bitter end. But he was having a good time. I step away because he wants a hot dog. So I go get a hot dog, and what do I miss? The only offensive piece to the Yankees puzzle for this day, which is a Ryan McMahon home run off of Flaherty, by the way, who is a lefty. So it was amazing. You didn't see Boone waver and say, you know what, I'm going to switch this up and go to the righty right here and screw up my defense. No, I'm going to keep McMahon in there, and he's going to go and bat for me. Whatever happens, happens. And he goes and hits a home run. Game tied up at 1. Trent Grisham strikes out, and then here you go. Judge is up. So what do? They're not putting Flaherty versus Judge. Let's go bring in Sir Anthony Dominguez. He comes in. He gets Judge to fly out and Bellinger to fly out. But the game's tied. 1-1. Perfect. Exactly what you could ask for. I mean, not actually exactly what you could ask for, but at the very least, a tie ball game at this point in time. You want to see more hits from the Yankees, obviously, but at the very least, you're walking into the top of the fourth time. Again, Schlittler's in. Barger leads off with a double, but he gets Kirk and Varsho to fly out. Barger goes, moves on to third after a wild pitch, but strikes out Santander. Perfect. Again, not many strikeouts for Schlittler, but you take it. Bottom fourth, Stanton walks. Excuse me. Chisholm. He's going to have Jazzy over here had a rough day. Let's just put it this way. But Stanton walks, Jazz is up. You'd like to see something productive, a productive at bat, grounds into a double play. Paul Goldschmidt pops up, and you go to the top of the fifth. And Ernie Clement, you're talking about, Vlad Guerrero Jr. not getting out. Ernie Clement singles again for, I think, the 100th time this series. Then Jimenez singles. So now you're on first and second. Big issue here. First and third, excuse me, as Clement went to third on the Jimenez hit. And you're in that spot here. Schlittler, it's first and third, top of the fifth, and you're in a spot where it's like, uh-oh, what's going on? And I believe, if I'm correct, that Jimenez, was that the Jimenez one that Jazz screwed up, or was that later on in the game? Let me just double check that. Because I feel like that ball was hit up the middle and Jazz didn't get it, and we thought he should have been able to get to it, so maybe he was out of position on that play. But that's not the key play to this game that really blew it open. We'll get to that a little bit later. Anyway, point is, first and third, Springer comes up, hits a fly ball, sac fly, and Clement scores. So now it's 2-1 still. Schlittler pitched a good game, decent, but that run scores. Now we got to find a way to fight back here. He does get out of the inning. Luke's hits into a fielder's choice. Jimenez out, and then Vlad Guerrero. Surprisingly, this is, again, very few strikeouts on this day. They choose to pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. with a runner on, and he strikes out. Looking, by the way, excellent pitch by Schlittler. It was a good battle. Good to see that Schlittler, listen, he's got some legit stuff. No matter what happens, no matter what happened in game 4, he pitched well as possible. And, he left. He didn't have the lead, but he pitched well enough to win the game. That's for sure. Go to bottom of fifth. Eric Lauer comes in, again, to face the lefty. Again, they have an ample amount of lefties, so it's a good spot for the Blue Jays. They're able to go back and forth as they want to. Lauer comes in, faces Wells, pops up. Volpe strikes out. Again, doesn't make a difference who's throwing. Lefties, righties, ambidextrous. Volpe's going to strike out, and then McMahon grounds out meekly. Top 6, Barger singles. Kirk flies out, and then Varsho grounds into a double play. Okay, good. So now we got through 6. So, first of all, Schlittler, maybe not as effective as he was versus the Red Sox, but still, going 6 deep, quality start, only 2 runs. I mean, that's really all you can ask for. He's literally doing his job. No bullpen. He's doing his job. He only gave him a couple measly runs. Again, you could blame Chisholm for maybe being out of play on that one that Jimenez hit, but whatever. Moving on. Bottom of the 6th. Grisham strikes out. They choose to walk Judge. Smart move. I mean, again, Eric Lauer's on. He's not a hard-throwing lefty. You don't expect that matchup to end well. And it's only one run. It's 2-1, right? It's 2-1. There's nobody on. You walk Judge. You don't allow him to tie. Now it's the 6th inning. It's not the first anymore. It's the 6th inning. You don't allow him to tie this game up. And they walk him. They pitch to Bellinger. He lines out. They relieve Lauer, put in Rodriguez. Stanton walks, okay, first and second. Here we go. And here it is. Jazz Chisholm comes up. First and second. You could tie this game up with a base hit. And he's swinging out of his shoes. He's just not disciplined. This is the same Jazz Chisholm that we used to see in Miami with the Marlins. And that's what the biggest issue with the Marlins were. They used to just swing out of their shoes. They were not a disciplined team. And that's carried over to the Yankees. And that's nothing that Boone or anybody else is ever going to change with Jazz Chisholm. It's just not going to happen. Somebody else is going to have to step up, whether it's a teammate or somebody else is going to say, dude, you got to relax. You got to put better at-bats together. Put bat on ball. Just try to get it. I mean, we're going to get to a Miles Straw hit later on in this game, which is so extremely embarrassing. But all you got to do sometimes is just make some contact and put it in the outfield. And just let it drop in there, a little dinker. It's okay. You don't got to put it to the roof. And He grounds out. Hard hit ball, ground out. And that's it. That's the, again, 2 runners on, 2 stranded, get nothing out of it. That's a big spot there. It's still 2-1 Blue Jays. You go to the top of the 7th, and this is where things start to backfire again. Santander pops out. Okay, fine. But Ernie Clement, like we said, he got a single every time he gets at the plate. He gets a single. Okay, he does again. Andres Jimenez, here we go. Andres Jimenez hits the ball to Jazz Chisholm, who can easily turn this into a double play. And instead, whether it was a bad hop, whatever it is, I haven't seen the replay. I just saw with my own 2 eyes him not play the ball properly, and it get past him. Jimenez goes to first, Clemente goes to third, and you're back in another first and third situation. And it's just, and here we are. This is going to haunt them now. And because of that play, where it's 1 out and 1 on, a ball hit the Jazz, should be able to turn that double play, end the inning. Schlittler goes 7 innings, could probably come back out for another inning. Instead, that's it. Game over. Schlittler's done. Cam Schlittler has left the game now. He is finally getting pulled. 6 1/3. It's a good game, a good, excellent game. In the playoffs, excellent game. Did a great job. Did his job. Did what he needed to do to get out of the inning. And Jazz booted it. And then what does Devin Williams do? Strikes out Springer. Okay, there we go. 2 outs. Jimenez steals second on that strikeout to Springer. Okay, so second and third, but you could still get out of the inning. And this is the thing we always talk about. If you ever listen to the Rico Bronya with Evan Roberts, just because Jazz Chisholm gives up an error and allows runners to get on base, just because Jimenez steals second base, does not mean you have to give up a base hit. And Devin Williams did not have lights out stuff, unfortunately, against Nathan Lukes, and he hits a line drive over Volpe's head. He can't get it, and 2-run score, and the score is now 4-1, and that's kind of the ball game right there. It was kind of over before that anyway, but maybe not, because again, eventually the Yankees did score a run, but that game was out of hand right there. Or in this instance, it's out of hand. Top 7th, Nathan Lukes two-run single. And the score's 4-1, and it feels like it's out of hand. You've gone now through how many pitching changes with the Blue Jays? You've gone through how many opportunities to score runs, and you've gotten 1 run. You've gotten very few hits. It is outrageous. And again, defense comes back and haunts them. It really does. And I'm not sitting and saying, Jazz Chisholm is such a terrible second baseman. But not for nothing, he's been, somebody that you've been able to put in different spots because he's so skilled and so talented, but he's never really been a great sure-handed second field defensive player. He's good at everything. He's not great at everything. And that's why, whether it was a bad hop or whatever the case was, Jazz blows it up and 2-run score. They finally get out of the inning after he does walk Vlad Guerrero Jr., which is a smart move. You don't need to add on to those runs, that's for sure. But after getting Barger out, you're down 4-1, and here you go. Bottom of the 7th, Brendan Little comes in, relieves Rodriguez. Goldschmidt walks. Okay, here we go. We're moving. And then it follows by Austin Wells flying out, and then Anthony Volpe comes up. And at this point in time, it's the bottom of the 7th inning. And I think at this point in time, he was in his last 12 at-bats. He struck out 10 times. And it's at this point in time, what are you doing putting him in against anybody? Brendan Little, I believe, was the left-hander. If I'm correct. Yes, he was. He was a left-hander. So he's a left-hander. I understand that Volpe is a righty, but he's faced 2 lefties earlier today, and he struck out both times. So it doesn't really make a difference. Find somebody who's got a better stick than Anthony Volpe and give him an opportunity. Now, defensively, he made a nice catch earlier in the game. That was awesome, like a behind, like Willie Mays behind the back type of deal, or over his head into his glove. It was awesome. But at this point in time, it's the 7th inning. You need runs. You have a base runner on. You don't. First of all, you don't have anybody in running for Paul Goldschmidt, which I didn't think you would anyway. But you've got to take out Anthony Volpe and give somebody else the bat, whether it's Caballero, whether it's Rosario. Somebody needs to take that bat out of Volpe's hands. And what does Volpe do? He strikes out. The third time. I mean, it's embarrassing that they keep on running this kid out there, and he's been so dead at the plate. And you desperately need a hit. You desperately need something. And then what do? They put Rosario in for McMahon because that they don't want the lefty, and let's put Rosario in. He crushes lefties, and guess what he does? He hits a single. A little too late, though, because Grisham comes up next, pops out, end of the inning. I mean, how many times did we see runners in scoring position and they just not drive them in? And then here we go, top 8th. Camilo Duvall relieves Devin Williams. Kirk, first thing he does, double. And I made this joke, and Marash at the time was cursing and very upset. He didn't find it very funny, but I looked at Alejandro Kirk and I said, you know what? He kind of looks like Jose Altuve, but like in 20 years. And now, do me a favor. Look at Alejandro Kirk. And then look at Jose Altuve right now. And then envision in 20 years, Altuve to look like Kirk. I think I nailed it. Wasn't very happy with that, but I think I did a good job. So Kirk doubles. Varsho flies out. Kirk goes to third. And then Miles Straw. And this is what I was talking about earlier with Jazz. That sometimes you just got to give like a late, like whatever it is. It looked like a tennis swing that Miles Straw gave off of Camilo Duvall. And he just kind of pushes the ball to drop in between the second baseman and the right fielder, between Chisholm and Judge. And Kirk scores on a really soft hit single. You don't always have to crush it. And now it's 5-1, and now the game's basically over. You're just like, there's no chance in hell that they're coming back. Ernie Clement gets hit by the next pitch, square in the back, or maybe not the next pitch, but the next at bat he's been on our base every time anyway. So like, why not just do that? It's easier. And Camilo Duvall then doesn't get tossed, but then leaves the game as Bednar comes in to relieve him. But I think that was Duvall's sign of saying, I'm not getting out of this inning, so please somebody save me soon because I'm going to get crushed here, and I don't really want to blow this inning up as much more. So get somebody else up. So Bednar comes in. He gets Jimenez to a ground to a fielder's choice, and then he strikes out Springer. So no more runs. Luckily, the Yankees get out unscathed, top of the 8th. No more runs come across, but that one to make it 5-1, but it already feels like it's out of hand by that point in time. The vibe was very weird. People get a little antsy. A lot of, like, you could see the crowd starting to get a little antsy too. People getting frustrated. And it just was like, what are we doing here? It just, so much so that like somebody like cold cocked somebody a few seats over from us because he's walking down the steps with his camera and filming, and somebody behind him says, hey, could you sit down? So the guy turns around and cold cocks the guy who said, hey, please sit down, or, down in front or whatever the case is. And they ran out like a little bitch. But thankfully, the cops did get him because he cracked this guy's jaw open and it was bloody all over the place. It was not pretty. But, I mean, that's the type of crap that was going on because I think people were like, what the hell's happening right now? Like we saw in the World Series, the Yankees flop against the Dodgers. That's different. This is completely and utterly unacceptable what's going on in the ALDS. Bottom of the 8th, Fisher comes in to relieve Little. Judge, surprisingly, leads off the inning and strikes out. So now they're attacking him. Now it's 5-1. Go at him, whatever. If he hits a home run, it's nothing. No big deal. They attack him, strikes out. Bellinger pops up. Stanton gets a base hit. Grisham walks. Okay, hold on a second. Ben Rice comes in for Goldschmidt. Jeff Hoffman comes on. And what does he do? He walks Ben Rice. I'm talking about Jeff Hoffman, a guy that notorious. Now, listen, I think he finished with 25 or something saves. Like he maybe even 30 saves, whatever it was. But the one thing I noticed from Jeff Hoffman, and I'm telling you right now, I know this for a fact, not because his name is Hoffman, but because he was on my freaking fantasy baseball team and he blew so many games, not blown saves. He blew games where he was put in with runners in scoring position and the lead was more than four or more. So non-save situations, he was blowing them left and right. First thing he does is balk Ben Rice. You're now a grand slam away from tying this thing. Unbelievable. And Austin Wells hits a shot that the crowd gets up for, but doesn't even make the warning track. And there goes another bases loaded rally. Again. Like, we don't need freaking home runs. I know that's the easiest way to score and tie it up. And you're thinking there, your eyes are big. You know you can go short porch. It's easy. But how about you just get a freaking base hit? Cut the lead a little bit down. You know, it's 5-1 right now. How about you cut the lead in half? Get a base hit, score 2 runs. Make it 5-3. Change the whole complexion of the game. But nothing. They come away empty again. 9th inning, Nathan Luke's doubles, but they get out of it. Guerrero grounds out, Barter strikes out, and Kirk strikes out. And here we go, bottom of the 9th. IKF comes in at second base, whatever. They finally, after all these years, choose to sit Anthony Volpe and put in Jason Dominguez. And what does he do instantly? A double to center. He's on base. Great. Rosario flies out. Grisham grounds out. Dominguez goes to third. Aaron Judge just misses a home run. It's just off the wall. And that scores Dominguez. It's 5-2, which, by the way, if they could have scored 2 runs the inning before, maybe it's 5-4. Maybe there's a different approach. Maybe there's more pressure on Jeff Hoffman, who sucks in the bullpen. Coming out of the bullpen. I'm telling you right now, we're going to watch him in the next series. He's going to blow a ton of games. If they make it to the World Series, he's going to blow a ton of games. Just get ready. It's going to happen. They are not winning the World Series, the Blue Jays. It's not happening. Same thing with the Detroit Tigers. They're not winning the World Series either, but the Blue Jays aren't winning because of their closer and their bullpen. That's for sure. But Aaron Judge gets a base hit, 5-2 at this point in time. You get Cody Bellinger up, and unfortunately, he strikes out, and that's all she wrote. And it was we left early. My kid was getting a little upset after that 5-1, even though he was just upset a little bit before that. When it was 4-1, he was upset. And he said, do you think we can leave like the 9th inning? Like, I don't want to see it. And what am I supposed to say? Like, I don't want to torture the kid. And this is why, if you know me, and I do the Rico Bronya podcast with Evan Roberts, so you know I'm a Mets fan, right? You know that. But I'm also fair. I don't want to gift my family pain. I don't want to purposely give it to them, right? Like, unintentionally. I mean, things happen. Hey, maybe I say the wrong thing. Maybe something happens. Okay, yeah, you're upset by me, whatever. That's fine. But I am not intentionally going to make you feel the same pain that I feel. I'm a Mets fan. I hate it. I hate being a Mets fan. I hate rooting for a team that constantly disappoints me and makes me want to put my head through a wall. Like, I don't like pain. Or maybe I do. I don't know. But I don't want to be in pain. That's for sure. Here's the thing. I don't want to make this kid go and sit here and watch the Yankees lose and then he'd be upset by that. Listen, I understand. I like teaching lessons. I like there to be value behind it. Like, hey, just because you want them to win doesn't mean they're going to win. You know, same thing in your baseball season. Like, you may think you're the best player, but you're going to strike out. You're going to get out. So there's lessons behind all the stuff. But here's the thing, dude. I'm not going to force him to watch the Yankees lose. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make him suffer in pain. And he's 8 years old. Like, he's still young. He don't need to do that. He'll have plenty of disappointment for years to come. Trust me. Trust me. Anybody that's watching this right now, you're in pain one way or the other. Whether it's a Met fan, whether it's a Yankee fan, whether it's just, somebody just that likes to see pain in general, likes to watch New York torture each other, like whether you're a Boston fan, unless you're a Dodgers or a Phillies fan, I'm not even sure what the score is there right now, so I can't tell you, but or Mariners or Tigers fan or Blue Jays fan at the moment, Brewers and Cubs, like we're all suffering the same way. Our teams are out. We're done. We're talking about, we're about to break down who to get rid of from these teams. We're going to talk about who we should add to this team. We're going to do a whole different deep dive on the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, and how to approach 2026. That's not fun. What's fun is winning and winning a World Series. Guess what? I don't know what that feels like. I don't know. I've never done it before. I've never had that feeling before in my life. I've never watched it before. At 86, I was 4. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I've seen it 1,000 times, but did I remember watching it? No. You watch the highlights. That's it. It's not the same thing. So I did not force my kid to watch the 9th inning because I felt like I was a good dad. Let's get home. Let's beat the traffic, and let's just not suffer with 40,000 Yankee fans, which there weren't 40,000 Yankee fans. There was Blue Jays fans in there too. But that's how the season ends, and it was disappointing. And it was, again, the Yankees had ample opportunities to drive in runs, and they didn't do it. And you could sit there and say, oh, well, their bullpen was so lights out. No, they just, honestly, the Yankee approach is bullshit. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's complete and utter shit. It's a 3-run home run or looking for a 4-run grand slam. It's always looking for home runs and not making enough contact. And the one person who made contact on almost every single at bat was Aaron Judge. Like, why don't you take a cue from your leader and be like, all right, we should change our approach at the plate. Hitting a home run is nice. It's glorious. We could do some cool, moves. I'll have some bling on me. We'll vibe together. We got the aura. We got the energy. We got all that stuff. But, I mean, how about you just get a big base hit that drives in a couple runs and cuts the lead in half? Do that 3 times a game, and you're winning that game. The amount of runners you left on base, you'd be winning the game. End of story. And they buckle under pressure. You look at what you did on Tuesday against them. 6-1. 6-1. Couple of defensive blunders, and you're back in that game. And that was it. And then you had no problem getting to their bullpen. The approach needs to change. I don't think the coaching needs to change. The approach needs to change. The personnel, maybe some personnel needs to change. That's for sure. Shortstop can't be just Anthony Volpe's job because that's who we want to play shortstop for the New York Yankees, because he's a handsome guy, he's a local kid, and it's a great story. That doesn't fly anymore. I'm sorry. That's over. All season long, you could sit there and say about his shoulder, the cortisone shot. Tell me anything you want. I think he was healthy in the playoffs. If he wasn't, then he shouldn't be playing. He did the same thing in the playoffs. He did the regular season. He's very streaky. He has a moment or two, and then he goes cold. That's not good enough anymore. It's just not. You brought in Ryan McMahon. He's the third baseman now. He's not offensively gifted enough to be on this team. And he's not an elite defender. So at least give me something here. Like, figure out what your approach is. Are you trying to have elite defenders? Are you trying to have pure hitters? Are you trying to have a mix and match of both? You have a hodgepodge of crap. There's talent, but it's all mixed around and out of position like it's been for years. And then you bring in old vets like Goldschmidt to play a position that he's not really good at anymore. And you have a young kid who you're trying to find a spot to play in Ben Rice, but you don't really have a place to play him because he's not a first baseman. He's not really a catcher. Your DH is Stanton. So what the hell are we doing? You're going to have to make some tough decisions here. You're either going to have to trade Stanton, which I don't think you should. I do like Stanton. I think he's always a clutch player, but that's just me. But if you are seriously thinking about putting Ben Rice on this team next year and not trading him, because, by the way, he does have value. He definitely has value. You could probably get a prime steak for him, bro. That guy's juicy. People will pay top dollar for that steak. He's a masher. So you could trade him and kind of make sense of your rotation. Not your rotation. Rotation is pretty good, even though they failed in the playoffs. I mean, Rodon was terrible. Fried was upsetting. Schlittler is the best pitcher that you had, amazingly enough, and he's the guy that's barely started for you. But you're gonna have to reevaluate every position, and you're gonna have to figure out who's gonna be on this team, who's gonna be traded. Bellinger needs to come back. You could sit there and tell me that Grisham, failed in the playoffs or whatever it is, but I think he's still worthy to bring back as well as a fourth outfield at the very least. I don't think he's going to cost as much as you think, but to have Judge, to have Bellinger, to have Grisham, to have those three outfielders, those three are outfielders. But if you think that Dominguez is going to be that guy, you now have four outfielders and you can play them, mix and match a little bit. And Bellinger could always go to first base and split time with Rice if you have to, or trade Rice. But there's a lot of things. And again, Volpe can't just be given that job at shortstop. I'd argue to get a better third baseman. And you got to make a big decision on Chisholm. I mean, that's going to be huge. Are you going to give him another full year with the team? Or are you going to trade him while he's, under his last year? I mean, I don't think they're going to give him extension. I really don't think so. I think they're going to let him go to free agency. If that's the case, do you want to ride that out again? Do you want to do the same thing that you did with Soto? Do you want to do the same thing you're doing with Bellinger? Like, all these guys you ride them out, let them hit free agency, and then you got to sign them again. Like, well, if you like them that much, keep them. Keep them. Extend them. Don't play this game where go to free agency and we'll see what happens. All right. Well, that's the end of the baseball season for New York. Now, there's still playoffs going on, and I'll maybe do a couple of things with the playoffs here and there if I feel like it. I don't know. We'll see. Hockey season starting up. We got more games on Thursday. The Rangers are playing. Devils are playing. I believe the Islanders are playing as well, their season opener as well. I'm trying to get a preview of them before we can get the season started. And then there's the Giant game against the Eagles on Thursday night. Yeah. Woo! This has been a long week. That's all I could say. It's been a long couple weeks. All right, we'll get ready for that. We'll get ready for the Giants and Eagles, and hopefully that's a close game. Even though I heard Tiki today be like, this game's going to be closer than you think. I hope so. I sure as hell hope so. I hope the Giants can find a way to do what they did to New Orleans, put up 2 touchdowns rather quick, and then keep the lead. That would be amazing. All right, thank you again for another episode or for watching another episode of WFAN Daily. I am Pete Hoffman. You can always follow me at HoffWFAN. These episodes are supposed to be much shorter, but again, I feel like you have to give its due when it comes down to the final game of the season for the Yankees. You gotta be able to break this down. So thank you for joining me. Again, like, subscribe, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Odyssey, the Odyssey app, whatever. iTunes, Spotify, I don't care where you do it. Just do it. Like, subscribe. I'll be giving more. Tomorrow's going to be tough because the Giant game is on, so I may not get one up. I'll try my best. I'm going to be in the locker room post-game, and then I might be able to do one much, much later after the locker room. So I should be able to get it up. It's going to be very late. That's all I can tell you. But thank you again for listening to another episode of WFAN Daily with myself, Pete Hoffman, at HoffWFAN. As you can see, follow, like on X, Instagram, TikTok. And I'll be back with BT and Sal tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. where we will guarantee to be talking about this. So that's going to be happening. All right, guys. You have a great evening. And for all you Yankee fans, it's a rough one, but you'll get through it. And for all the Met fans that have been waiting to pounce on the Yankee fans, you will have your time, but do the responsible thing, do the nice thing, and just give them a little space before you pounce. Because I know that's what Mets fans want to do. I know that Mets fans want to go and attack Yankee fans because, hey, guess what? You're joining us in Cancun. Woohoo! We're all losers. That's all it means. We're all losers. Doesn't make a difference who lost first, who lost last. We're all losers. Doesn't make me feel any better. That's for sure. All right, guys. Have a good night. I'll see you guys later. And